What's up, guys? It's me, Tiff, and I'm in New York City to watch Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial in person, but we actually have a brief little break from court. So today, I just wanted to walk you guys through what going to court has been like, a little day in my life, you could say. Sam Bankman-Fried's trial started on October 3rd, and I've been going every single day that court has been in session, and I will say it has been almost impossible to get adequate sleep.
I'm on my way to court to attend Sam Bankman-Fried's trial. Let's see how this goes. Please let me in, Southern District of New York.
So there's a main courtroom and an overflow room. The main courtroom is where Sam Bankman-Fried, the judge, the witness, the jury, etc., all the action is. In the main courtroom, there are only 21 seats available to a mixture of the press and the public. So if you want to get into the main courtroom, you're going to have to get to court super early. For example, I wanted to watch Caroline Ellison's testimony in the main courtroom because I wanted to see her in the flesh, and she is very tiny. For Caroline Ellison's testimony, I would wake up at around 4 or 5 a.m., make some breakfast, make my little lunch meat sandwich, and head to court. So on those days, I got to court around 5:40, 5:50 a.m., and there were already journalists lined up waiting to get into court. Us court attendees have started sort of policing ourselves to make sure that people who come later don't cut in line in front of people who got there at like 4 or 5 a.m. So basically, someone at the beginning of the line every day starts sort of a sign-in sheet. So obviously, if you're someone who wants to get into the main courtroom, you want to be one of the first 20 people on that list. I say 20 people, but I've gotten to court on some days where they let in 21 people or have let in 17 people. So it varies a bit, but around 20 people. So basically, once you're signed in, you pretty much just stand around waiting outside the courthouse for several hours. If you're signed in, you can go grab coffee and come back, but basically you're waiting outside. Note that if you got there at 4 or 5 a.m., then sometimes it's very cold outside because the sun has not yet risen. Around 8-ish a.m., the guards usually open the doors and you go directly through security. There's usually a guard who will tell you to turn your phone off as soon as you enter the courthouse, and then you wait in line to get to the metal detectors. You're supposed to separate all of your electronic devices, your phones, your laptops, your AirPods, etc. So when you get through the metal detectors, you hand over your electronic devices and they give you a little silver or gold chip to pick your devices up later. You're then ushered into another line, but this time you don't have your phone, you don't have your devices. So you're pretty much just standing around in a holding pen with a bunch of other journalists, and you usually just chit-chat for about an hour or so until around 9:30. At around 9:30, a security guard will usher the first 20-ish people up to the main courtroom, which is on the 26th floor. If you make it into the main courtroom, you're seated on the left side of the aisles, I guess. On the right side is, I believe, Sam's family and friends, as well as some lawyers and also the court sketch artist. And in front of you is obviously the judge at the very end of the room, and then there's rows of prosecutors, I think FBI agents, Sam's team, and Sam himself. Honestly, like, obviously I recognize Sam, etc., but there are lots of people in suits and I'm not sure exactly what their jobs are. And obviously you also have direct line of sight to the witness. The main courtroom has some advantages. You can actually see the jury and kind of check out their reactions to statements. But there are some disadvantages. For example, Sam Bankman-Fried is facing away from you, so you can't actually see any of his facial reactions to any statements that are made in court. So for that reason, the overflow room actually has some of its own advantages. By the way, a brief pause, but this coverage has been made possible by Evertus. Evertus is the first company in the world to provide insurance solutions for crypto and mining infrastructure. Evertus is also a Lloyd's of London cover holder, which means their policies are A+ rated. You can ask your broker how Evertus can help you manage your risk and protect your enterprise, or visit evertus.com. In the overflow room, there are tons of monitors. It's sort of like watching a movie, and there's actually a camera that faces down at Sam Bankman-Fried, his legal team, the prosecutors, etc. And although the camera is set up pretty far away from their faces and it's not the most high-def resolution, you can at least sort of make out some vague facial expressions or, head nods or grimaces a little bit. In the main courtroom, you obviously have to be respectful and quiet. You can't eat, you can't chat. But in the overflow rooms, it's a lot more relaxed, so it can actually be more fun and almost a better gauge of public sentiment, because in the main courtroom, you have to make sure to sort of keep your mouth shut. But in the overflow room, you can see everyone's real reactions to specific statements that are made or, jokes by Judge Lewis Kaplan. I'd say that overall, there's sort of a sense of camaraderie amongst, those of us who have been showing up every single day from the start. It almost feels like being back in school. You see a lot of familiar faces. You're all sitting at desks and, watching a screen or watching what's happening, sometimes making little comments to each other and sort of watching the clock waiting for lunchtime. We typically get one 10 to 15 minute break in the morning. We get a lunch break at 12:30 for about an hour, another break in the afternoon, and then we get let off at around 4:30. The whole experience has been honestly exhausting, but also kind of fun for me because I've been following this case so closely since the very beginning. I assume not everyone knows my backstory, but I actually lost a lot of my life savings to another crypto collapse, Celsius Network. I actually lost 3.1 Bitcoins, 11.6 ETH, and a lot of other coins, Matic, etc. So when I deposited that money, it was worth around over 200K. I think right now it's sitting at around 100K. But anyway, I was essentially, I guess, a victim of another crypto collapse. So that's the only reason I started my YouTube channel. It's the only reason I started using Twitter. I never really was a social media person prior to any of this. So this all just started from me posting updates about Celsius Network's bankruptcy, and then employees inside the company began leaking me information, which I began to post, and Sam Bankman-Fried started following me on Twitter because of those leaks. Anyway, a couple months after Sam followed me on Twitter, FTX and Alameda collapsed. So I reached out to him on Twitter, and that turned into a series of interviews after FTX's collapse, and also turned into quite a few in-person visits while he was on house arrest. And if I'm being honest, and I know it's not popular to say anything remotely positive about Sam, but Sam has always been very kind to me, and I feel like I got to know him very well. But obviously, as a customer of another crypto company that collapsed, I definitely understand that there are a lot of victims here. A lot of lives have been irreparably damaged, and the evidence against Sam Bankman-Fried appears overwhelming. So despite the fact that Sam has always been very nice to me, that doesn't mean that I believe he's innocent. So anyway, that's just a bit of my backstory and why I care so much about this trial. In case this is the first video of mine you're watching, I've been posting regular updates about the trial on Twitter, YouTube, Substack, etc. So if you want to follow along, feel free to. Also, again, thank you to Evertus for making this coverage possible. To learn more about how Evertus insurance products and services can help crypto companies protect their enterprises, ask your broker or visit evertus.com. Anyway, I love you all so very much, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye!